Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. Happy April 3rd. Welcome to the Busy Moms Fitness, Nutrition, Mindset, and Accountability community. This community has one monthly free training, and it's the first Thursday of each month at noon Eastern Standard Time. So if you are new and you're kind of wondering, what is this group about? What types of things does it have to offer? Our main and primary source of content is our monthly free training. So if you've not jumped in or you are new and you haven't seen this before, you can always go back and check. Facebook is making some changes, though, that after 30 days, these lives are going to start to go away. That's okay though. So at any point, you can always, after this, make sure to drop, say I'm here or I'd like the replay, and I will send you the link to where we store it, which is on our YouTube channel. And I'll make sure to drop that link in the comments. So I know sometimes we can't get to these or we want to go back and watch at a later time because we thought it was really good or we wanted to pick up another piece of advice, whatever that is. So I'll make sure you guys have access to it even after that 30-day mark. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Morgan Ekovich. I run this group. I have been running this group, I want to say since 2021, I think is when I officially launched it. And in here, we talk about all things fitness, nutrition, mindset, accountability. And every month we have that free training. This month, we are focusing on springtime fitness refresh, tailoring your workout routine to maximize results. So if you are watching live right now, feel free to tune in, drop live in the comments. If you're watching the replay later on, drop a replay in the comments, let me know. Also, let me know why you tuned in today because we do keep these short, about 15, 20 minutes, but this is probably your lunch hour. This is valuable time that you have. So, what made you tune in? So let's kind of dive right into it. Let's start by talking about the importance of refreshing our fitness routine, specifically when it comes to spring or really any season. So the season that we're coming up on right now is spring. So that's why we're talking about it. But anytime you have a change of season or a stage of life that has happened, it's really important to really evaluate and say, is what I'm doing working? Does it still work for me? What is no longer working? And what shifts do we have to make? So before we go ahead and do anything, you always want to know your baseline. And whether we talk about it in nutrition or we talk about it in our workouts, is I want you to be able to put on paper, what are you consistently doing? I'm consistently strength training 3 days a week for 30 minutes. I'm making sure I'm using weights and my weight or my reps is progressively getting higher over time. Great. Or maybe it's I do 2 days of cardio, 2 days of strength. Strength doesn't really have a plan. I just kind of show up and I move for 30 minutes, making sure I hit a full body. Cardio typically looks like walking, biking, elliptical running, can look anyways. But we want to make sure that we write down and we create a baseline of what is currently happening with our life. And then we get to reassess and say, does this work for the season of life we're going into? Spring is happening. Maybe you're getting ready to go on spring break, or you just got home from spring break, getting towards the end of the school year, getting into that summertime. Maybe you've got some work travels coming up. Does that routine you've been doing still work for you? If it does, great, keep rolling with it. If it doesn't, that's where we have to then ask some questions of, I don't know, it doesn't, or I'm not really sure. We want to ask the first question of, are we consistently hitting those workout targets? So you said you're going to the gym, you're progressively increasing your weight and your reps, and you're getting stronger. So you would be hitting your targets. If you're unsure, we got to dial in and create a better baseline. Do you feel challenged or bored with your current routine? So maybe you're crushing it, but you do feel bored and you're just not challenged. You're just kind of going through the motions. You're probably due for a little refresh. The other thing is with that schedule, like I just mentioned, if you are noticing that I just don't have time for those 3 strength workouts, I only have time for 2 because I really want to make sure I get out and I walk and I want to have a better balance, change that. As the weather gets nicer, we do tend to switch our routines because the weather's nicer. We want to spend more time outside. I get that. I'm the same exact way. I do way more walks in the summer and I do more strength training in the winter because of the Michigan weather that we have. So create your baseline, figure out, ask yourself those questions, figure out, do you need to make a change? Once we identify that we need to make a change, there's a few things that we can do. Adding variety based on that season that we're in. So, like I just mentioned, we're moving into nicer weather. Maybe we're going to start looking at doing some outdoor workouts, whether that's cardio wise or strength wise. You're going to put a set of weights up there near your back patio, step outside, you're going to get some fresh air, pair it with some movement. I've got a client that's what I recommended to her, because she was saying how going to the basement just feels so gloom and dark, so dark and gloom. I was like, bring your weights up, put them next to your patio, and when it's nice, go outside. When it's not, just use them in the living room. We don't need a ton of equipment typically for our workouts. We need a set of dumbbells, maybe a few different varieties, but we can also have our main strength sessions happen in one place, and we can have a kind of a miniature or a mini strength session happen somewhere else with less equipment. So keep that in mind. Body weight circuits are super awesome. If you're feeling like, wow, life is just really heavy and I know I need to move my body, but I just, lifting weights is just not there. Just move to body weight workouts. Get get back in the routine of doing push-ups, do some squats, do some lunges, things like that. Though that is really important for us to be able to just be able to move our bodies how we want to. Start incorporating more spring activities. So, yeah, you've got your strength, but maybe for your cardio days, instead of just walking around the block, your goal is to do one hike around town. If you live somewhere with awesome mountains and trails, great. If you live somewhere a little bit more locally where we just are looking for something paved where we don't have to walk on the road, go ahead and check out a new trail, get with a friend, go walk together. Incorporate spring cleaning into your fitness routine as functional workouts. So when we think about springtime, we are moving things around. And how can we be a little bit more intentional of as we are cleaning things out, making sure we've got good form. Maybe we're getting ready to carry something and we go a little bit further with that bucket of water, whatever that looks like. Be a little bit more intentional about that. You can add some functional fitness into just those spring cleaning activities that you are doing. And then try out new classes. I always like springtime because I feel like it's a different way to kind of think, okay, for the next 3 months, because I like to run things in quarters, for the next 3 months, what types of things do I want to try out? Well, this month I want to go and try a new hike. Next month, I want to try a yoga class at either a place I've gone to or a place I haven't. And maybe the following month, I want to hit X amount of miles. So it can look different, but create some sort of goals for yourself. Give yourself something to look forward to and get others in your life involved with it because it makes it more fun when you don't have to do it alone. So, I just recorded an episode on our next portion of this, and we'll deep dive into it, but it's overcoming fitness plateaus. So, maybe you're noticing that the reason you need a change is not because you're bored of your workout, not because it's not challenging anymore. Maybe it's not any of that. Maybe it's just you're not seeing those results. You're not hitting those targets, like I mentioned in the beginning. Okay. Well, we need to make sure that we're progressively overloading. So that can look like building up our weight, our reps, or our volume. So things that we like to think about is we don't want to increase all of them because if all of a sudden we go from 3 rounds, 10 reps, lifting 10 pounds up to 4 rounds, 15 reps, lifting 15 pounds, that is a lot of change on the body. So instead, stick with your 3 reps or stick with your 3 sets, stick with your 10 reps, make that a good goal, but increase your weight to 15 pounds. If you can easily continue to do 10 reps, increase that weight a little bit more until you can do about 6 to 8, maybe 8 to 10. Once you can feel like you can do 10, 12, 15, 20 reps, your weight is ready to go up. Often we are not lifting heavy enough, where by that third round, by that third set, we are not really working. We're moving. We can feel it, but it's not very challenging. So you want to make sure that we are progressively overloading. The other thing that you can do to help kind of navigate through this plateau is changing your workout splits. So I enjoy full body workouts. That is what works best for my schedule. But maybe come springtime, you're going to play around with it. You're going to do more of an upper body and core day and then a lower body and core day. And you're going to kind of intertwine those a little bit differently instead of two full body strength days. That's okay. Play around with those. If you have any questions, just drop me in the comments below and we'll jump on a call and we'll kind of talk through this. We do this in our 90-day kickstart program. It's really about creating that baseline, fitness, nutrition, mindset, accountability wise, figuring out what that baseline is, and then growing and building into that lifestyle you want and that exercise routine. So if you have any questions on that of am I doing the right things? Am I doing enough of the right things? How much weight should I increase? Any of that, drop me. We can just talk. We'll just talk. I'll get you the answers you need. The other thing that we can do to kind of get through these plateaus is trying out new equipment, trying out different moves. So if we're always doing a bent over row with our palms facing in, do a bent over row with your palms facing up. You're going to hit different muscles. Maybe we always do tricep kickbacks with your palms facing in. Well, bring your palms up and hit those muscles from a different angle. So it's not necessarily we have to reinvent the wheel because we don't. We can just tweak these movements a little bit. And maybe you've been doing lunges and your lunges are getting easy and you're at the heaviest set of weights that you have at home. Now it's time to add some tempo. Now it's time to add some pauses in there, some pulses. So there's ways to make exercises more challenging without always having to increase that weight as well. Which, like I said, we can always play around with that, but try to figure out where are your workouts on that scale and on a good day. I know we sometimes have days where like we just don't feel our best and our workouts feel super, super hard. But then there's days where we feel our best and our workouts are really easy. So when we have a good day, how are those workouts feeling? Document that, write down what weights you're using, reps, sets, and all of that. The other thing that we want to do, especially as we're moving into spring, is we figured out our baseline. We've answered some questions. We now have an idea that maybe some things need to change. I want you to create a goal for yourself, whether that's what I mentioned of each month you're going to try something new, or it's I want to get up to X amount of pounds when I squat, or I want to get in X amount of strength workouts per week, or X amount of steps, or cardio days. I want you to create a goal for yourself. Be really specific. And I don't want you to say, do more cardio, increase weight. No, be really, really specific. And also put the why you've chosen that goal. Because you can have a goal, but if you don't know your why and you don't find it important to you, you're most likely not going to stick with it. And on those days when you really don't feel like it, are the days that you're not going to do it. But if you remember that why, that right there is going to help push you through and get you to want to do it rather than feeling like, I'll just do it another time. So create a really specific goal. Put it in the comments and don't just think for this next month, think for the next 3 months. We just started Q2 on April 1st, and that is April, May, and June. And I know by the time June hits, we're coming into summer. So we're moving really quick here, but come up with a goal for each month and then an overall for this quarter. Where do you want to be? What do you want to accomplish? Where are you starting? Where are you going to be? Or where do you want to be? And then what are those action steps in between to make that happen? So I'm going to keep it with I want to strength train 3 days a week. Awesome. How long are those workouts going to be? How are you going to create those workouts? Are you creating them? Are you going to reach out to a coach and get workouts? Are you going to YouTube them? What are you going to do to get those workouts? Okay, so you have your workouts. Well, what days of the week are you going to do them? Are we going to add them to the calendar? Do we need to add a little reminder? Do we need to have an accountability buddy? Like think through all the action steps and all of the hiccups and all of the roadblocks that you're going to come into so that when that happens, you can be prepared and you can be successful to follow through. Finally, as we're kind of talking on this, we are going to be running in-person functional fitness boot camp classes this summer. And I'm just finalizing some of the dates. So if you are local to Lansing and you are interested in a 45-minute once a week class where we are focusing specifically on strength training and functional fitness and adding some accountability in, just drop boot camp in the comments below and I'll send you all those details. Like I said, I'm finalizing it, but it is going to be on Wednesdays and starting the first week in June. That's as much as I've got for you. But if you want more details, just drop boot camp in the comments below. So to recap, before we do anything, before we start refreshing and clearing out our fitness routines, we need to figure out what is happening. What are we consistently doing? As always, create that baseline, write it down, be super crystal clear. What do your weights look like? How often is it happening? How are you feeling with all of it? Do you need a change? Or are you somebody who is chronically changing all the time because they can't stay consistent? If you're that person, drop me in the comments and let me know. Let me help you be consistent for X amount of time, and then we can add some change. But if you've been consistent and you need a little bit more challenge, you need a little bit more to just hit some of those goals that you want, then go back to some of the things. Go back to the beginning of this video with some of the suggestions I gave. And then finally, do not forget to create your goals for the next 3 months. And so 1 month, one goal per month, and then one overall goal to cover in Q2. Drop them in the comments or send me a private message if you're more comfortable that way. But those types of things are going to help you feel motivated and stay motivated through this transition of life getting busier, weather's nicer, people are outside, we've got more events, all of that happening. It happens every year, but every year we're surprised by it. And like I said, if you do want help, drop me in the comments. We've got a few spots left in our 90-day kickstart program where we work one-on-one with you nutritionally, hydration, fitness, mindset, and I hold you accountable all to it for 90 days. So if you have any questions at all, drop me in the comments. In-person classes for the summer starting the first week in June on Wednesdays. Make sure to drop boot camp for more details. Like I said, I'm getting those finalized. And until next time, remember, first Thursday each month at noon Eastern Standard Time. These videos go away after 30 days. So I will be dropping in the comments the link to our YouTube channel where you can find these. So make sure you subscribe so you stay updated there. And also on that follow-up post that you guys will see me do tomorrow, I will put the link to the replay in YouTube. So when this video does decide to go away, you still can access it and come back. Because yes, we're talking about this in the springtime, but this is for any season and stage of life that is a transition for you. You need to refresh, you need to reevaluate, you need to figure out what is happening, what's not happening, and what are you going to do moving forward. So until next time, I will see you all then.